Welcome back to Jules Math Tools, where math is made easy. In this session, we're going to be adding mixed fractions with unlike denominators. And if you're ready to learn how to add these fractions together, let's get started. So in our question today, we are going to be adding our mixed fractions with unlike denominators. And to get started, I like to work on my whole numbers first and then focus on the fractional part afterwards. So I'm going to be adding my whole numbers of 3 and 1 to get the sum of 4. So now that I'm done with my whole numbers, I'm going to just set that aside for a moment, and we're going to now focus on adding our fractional parts. And remember that in your final answer, even though I'm working out the whole number and the fraction separate, we still are going to need to put both of those answers back together. So now I'm just setting up for my fraction. So now my first step in working out my fractional part is I need to find the LCD or the LCM, which is our lowest common denominator or our lowest common multiple of our numbers in our denominator of 5 and 6. So I need a lowest common multiple that 5 and 6 have in common. And in looking at their timetable, I know that they have 30 in common because when I multiply 5 times 6, I will get the number 30. So now that I have 30 for my LCD, I'm going to now change my denominators in both of my fractions to 30. Once I've changed my denominators to 30, I'm now going back to each of my fractions individually, first looking at 3, 6, and I'm going to see how I change 6 to 30. And in looking at 6, we said earlier that when we multiplied 5 and 6, we got the number 30. So if I multiplied 6 times 5, I need to do the exact same thing to my numerator of 3 to make sure that I'm keeping my fractions equivalent. So remember that this step that we're taking now, this is our equivalent fraction step, where remember whatever we do to the numerator, we also do to our denominator. So we have 3 times 5 is 15. And now we're going to do the exact same thing on the opposite side with our next fraction. So we have 2/5, and we know that 5 times 6 gave us 30. So I'm also multiplying my 2 times 6, which will give me 12. So now that I have converted these fractions into their equivalent form, I'm now going to work out my numerators by adding 15 plus 12, which will equal to 27. And remember that we keep that same denominator of 30. Now, so now that we've added our fractions, remember in looking at your fractions, always look to see if they can be simplified and ours can't. Can, because 27 and 30 both are in my 3 time table, so that I know that both 27 and 30 can be divided by 3. And 27 divided by 30 will equal to 9. And 30 divided by 3 will equal to 10. Now, I must say this, do not fret over the amount of steps that I'm using. Remember, I'm just going through these steps to make it a little bit simpler for you. There are a lot of you who can skip through all of this process and kind of go from my step here straight to the answer. But remember, I like to show my steps to make sure that everything is clear for those who may be watching and may be struggling in this area. So now that we've added our two fractions, we've added our fraction and our whole number, our final step in our answer is always to put the two back together, because remember we were working out a mixed fraction. So our mixed fraction has a whole number part, which is 4. So I'm going to indicate clearly here that this is my answer. So 4 is my whole number. And it also had a fractional part, which is 9/10. So this will be my final solution when I'm adding my fractions with unlike denominators. Well, there you have it. We just calculated the sum of our mixed fractions with unlike denominators. And remember that these steps may seem difficult, but the best thing that you can do is always to get started and work through the kinks. And as always, when you're ready to learn more about fractions, return back to Jules Math Tools, where the aim is always to make math easy.